Our next presentation, / you could call it a fireside chat, I suppose. We're going to be delving into the world of esports now. So obviously, there's a strong theme around technology in the conference. You know, of course, esports has been a real big benefactor of that, especially since we're going and living in a more digitized world these days. Esports has been growing like wildfire. And I've got 3 people who are going to be joining me on stage who know a thing or two about the esports industry, and they're going to be talking you through how esports has developed and grown over the last couple of years, and really the new heights that it's going to grow to. So it's my absolute pleasure to invite onto stage, of course, Max Dalmau from Fan Content, Paula Canepa for Liga de Videojuegos Profesional, I hope I said that right, and Vitor Jordan from the Johan Cruyff Institute for your next presentation. Give them a warm round of applause, please. No problem. You can use the microphones, yeah. Good.
Yeah,
One there. Is there just one?
There are 2.
Hi everyone. We have a double challenge. Yeah, the first one is talking before lunch. I think this is the biggest one, and the second one talking about esports in a sports lover audience. So we will do our best. As James introduced, we have here today Paula Canepa, who is the International Business Development Director at LBP, and Max Dalmau, the Sales Director at Fan Content and Board Member at Wizards. I would like to say first hello to both of them, and before we begin with the topics that today we are going to talk about today, the sector's evolution, and talking about monetization and audience, I would like to ask you a little bit about you. So about what is your background. It's good to hear what sector were you working before to enter in the esports industry, and a little bit what is the evolution of the ecosystem.
Hi everybody. Well, my name is Paula Canepa. I'm the International Business Development Director in LBP. Regarding background, hopefully I come from the sport business. All my career I've been part of in sports, in sport marketing agencies and worldwide events, I don't know, World Cup, Olympics. So I will try to talk about esports and to be realistic with the audience. Since 2019, I'm part of LBP. And actually, LBP, it's one of the most important esport organizations regarding professional leagues, events, content creators, and everything. Also, regarding what it's the sector actually, LBP, it's part of the Group Media Pro. Group Media Pro is one of the most important audiovisual groups worldwide. We produce like most important sport events. And since 2019, 100% of LBP is part of this group. A little bit linking what is sports and esports, and especially what audiences wants to see a little bit right now or are interested about. We were discussing actually before what we think about the sector, and I think this link and what I was mentioning is what is happening right now. I think the esports are a new way of entertainment. It's not a new way of entertainment. It's one like key part of the entertainment. It's not like we will discuss about esports, sports, and the link. It's something that it's right now. Everybody wants to know a little bit more about esports. But it's like a connection. Right now, we are developing a lot of products in the group. For example, having the production of La Liga and producing La Liga. Doing the same with Conmebol and doing Libertadores. So it's like the key point, I think, right now, and I'm being part of because I feel part, of course, of this sector. I think it's a way of entertainment and a new way of connecting with new audiences that we have to take into account and that actually we have to develop. So I don't know if I answered the question. It's okay. I will give Max.
Properly right. Max.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Max Dalmau. I'm sales director for Fan Content. We are a specialized, I would say, a bit boutique agency specialized on talent management. We represent, for instance, the Gref, who just before La Velada of Ibai held the record for most concurrent viewers on a live stream on Twitch with 2.3 million while he was presenting his Fortnite skin. We also do or develop a lot of audiovisual products by ourselves, such as the Stream World Championship, which will take place in Benito Villamarin in a couple of weeks, where 8 national selections formed of 22 YouTubers from 8 different countries will compete against each other in football matches, all while live streaming the entire event. Or the Esland prizes where we award the best content creation from different countries, and we do it in a such fashion that you could compare it, I won't say the Oscars, but in a Oscar-ish way, right? From a personal perspective, I come from the toy industry, but I've been involved with the ecosystem in esports for 8 years now. It feels like it has been 25 because we always say that esports years count for 7. There's so many things happening all the time that it gets a little bit hectic. And on my personal level or as a personal project, I'm part of Wizards Club, which is the oldest active club in Spain and one of the most recognized, I think, outside of our borders, maybe for Spanish clubs. Now we have very high competition, but we've been competing internationally and winning international tournaments for over 20 years now. I think.
So here I think we have a representation of the industry, and I would say that Max is one of the pioneers, and Paula, one of those who moved from the traditional sport to the electronic sports. This is what is happening in the industry. One thing that I would like to introduce is we are going to talk about audiences. Yeah, of course, I would say this is like the trend, because the audience in esports has doubled in 5 years, reaching more than 500 millions, but I would like to start defining a little bit who is the audience. Yeah, are all gamers? What is changing? I don't know. I have some notes, and I would like just to mention that those who start being gamers 20 years ago, today they are parents. So tell me your opinion about it. Yeah, Max. Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, I think what we can see for sure is steady growth and double-digit growth for the past years. There are no signs of stopping, and therefore, I think the communication has changed a bit. Especially, I think during the pandemic, we saw many sports people, football players, and I don't know, basketball players, Formula 1 drivers, starting live streaming on Twitch, interacting with these huge content creators on a very organic way, if you want to say so. And you could see that it was part of their entertainment in their idle times, right? You could see that they were playing, but they were not publicly announcing they were playing until they were forced to do something while they were all trapped at home, okay? So I think this has gone under the radar for a bit over 20, 30 years now, because I always think like the first competition was in 72, so maybe a little bit over that. But I think specifically for the last 15, 20 years, it has been going under the radar, and with the pandemic, we saw a bit of a public validation feeling, if you want to say so. Not so much acknowledgement, because it has been growing and growing, but certain validation in the fact that many very large sports people specifically, but also people from traditional TV making the switch and starting to do live stream and so on. So I think clearly there is a trend there, and I think both worlds can coexist. But obviously, certain sports, or at least that's what Florentino said, they need to adapt and to try to work on their format or on their way of communicating to attract these a bit more younger audiences who are used to consume content in a very different way than most of people, or that people from my generation are used to, right?
I think Max was really polite because what Florentino mentioned specifically, I have the quote, it's young people spend more time watching esports than traditional sports. Yeah. But Paula, what's your opinion
No,
about this?
And that's a reality. That's why we are creating different leagues. And going back to the question, it's like, of course, the audience is not gamers. We were joking, but like whoever is here in the audience, I'm confident that at least once they already play something, or you have a FIFA Mobile or whatever you have there in your phone. I'm sure. So the audience, when we talk about gamers and gamers per se, it's not the professional only players. It's anybody that wants to perhaps relate in a different way with the content. And we have a lot of IPs, international IPs, that are like, okay, we have the Clásico. How we can a little bit work on that? I don't know if you saw, but for example, last week, the Clásico were like 24 hours of Twitch doing like the previews about how was the Clásico and everything. So it's how we approach these new audiences and how we create those contents. And what also it's something that we work with the teams and with our like strategic partners is to create those contents in order to create that perhaps relationship with that audiences. So when you talk about gamers, it's everybody's a gamer because everybody wants to play or wants to entertain in certain way. So when we talk about gamers, it's not like per se, and that's why when we see our figures for example, in our leagues, it's of course we are like growing 2 digits last year, this year, in the past 5 years. We are creating new leagues in other markets because, for example, we develop our leagues in Latin America because they were consuming our league here in Spain, and it was a huge percentage of our audiences comes and was coming from Latin America. So I think what we have to erase is that conception that gamers are those who are like alone at their home, and that they only want to play because they don't have friends. It's when you get into this industry, and of course coming from sports, it's like it's a new way. And that's the way, for example, I know that there's a lot of people here in La Liga, but we are really interested in how they work with La Liga to approach new audiences worldwide, or how Libertadores, it's the 3rd year that they are creating that tournament and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because they want to get actually on that new audiences that are consuming totally different contents in another way.
In these years where you have been like approaching these fans, I mean, you are a fully digital company. I would like to understand a little bit more about how this relationship has evolved. As a company, I mean, you get the data, what have you learned? What are you doing right now in a different way? I don't know, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, no, the first thing that we have to understand is the industry has been evolving and we are not going on to the pandemic and everything, because despite the pandemic, we still grow after the pandemic. So it's not that the people is consuming that because they are at home. So how we evolve creating, for example, customized and new products, understanding a little bit more the audience. Right now, for example, we launched this year the subscription campaign with Twitch in order to give like possibility of having new experiences for our users, exclusive content, being like key part of actually how they want to consume. The chat, it's only, of course, available for subscribers. So I think it's hearing a little bit the audience, but also, and talking about the panel, and the main thing is, if we start talking and actually relating with these audiences in the way maybe it's understanding how they are evolving, we can create also a new revenue stream for our industry. So we created that. Our final, for example, now in the Iberian Cup, it's going to be in Portaventura, and for the first time, it's like we are creating packs. You can go to Portaventura, enjoy about Portaventura, watch the final of Iberian Cup for 2 days, and that is something that it was not actually created for fans. So the audiences are looking forward, I think, for new, of course, experiences, for good quality content, and if we hear those two things, I think we have a good chance of getting a little bit more revenues for this industry.
Max, what about from a team perspective? I mean,
yeah. First of all, I would like to add something what you were saying before, which is we tend to watch or look at gamers as just gamers, right? And gamers are not just gamers; they consume many different formats of content. They watch series on Netflix, HBO, Prime, and I don't know how many other platforms exist now, but they have a lot of friends. We forget, or we tend to forget, that gaming has become a social activity, and that if kids want to play with their friends, one of the best ways to do so is through video games, right? And we tend to forget that part. I think that we cannot look at gamers just because they are gamers, and we have to completely forget the traditional picture of a guy in a basement, dark, eating Doritos and drinking Mountain Dew or Coca-Cola, right? Okay, please forget about that. If you look at professional players, they all have physiotherapists, nutritionists, they have a set of training sessions. So I mean, like, it's way more professionalized than people usually think. But as Paula was well saying, gamer is everything.
You are
right?
breaking a myth of the gamer.
Yeah, we're trying to. I think we have to, and I'm not saying there are not those profiles, but there are so many other profiles as well, right? So we tend to generalize, and I think that's a big misconception or mistake if you want to approach this type of audience. From a team perspective, I think one of the things we try to do, and it's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is that there is more rotation of players than in traditional sports, because our seasons are shorter. Usually we look at 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, maybe the largest one, right? So it's hard to fidelize the audience through if they are followers of a player, right? So you have a very short span of time to capture that audience that is following a certain player who is playing for your team before he moves into another team, and you completely lose this audience, right? So we try to create immersive and interactive experiences. We use tools such as Discord, for instance, which is, if you don't know it, it's very similar to Slack, okay, but more gamer friendly, if you want to say so. But it's an amazing tool to create and keep communities engaged, right? So we try to do a lot of activities there. We bring them exclusive experiences. We try to do a lot of fun meetings. We never forget about the live events, because actually, for us, for my company, the pandemic was a big hit, because 75% of our revenue was coming from live events, right? So we had to shift very quickly, and I think, yeah, I'm not alone in this sense, but we had to switch everything very fast into an organic online thing, and but I think we were better prepared than maybe other companies or more traditional companies, right? But in general terms, I think it's always a combination of providing value online and in the types of content that you are creating. Just a couple of weeks ago, we brought all our content creators into a house in the mountain, and we did a lot of activities with them. We filmed tons of content, and we will use this content and split it and spread it throughout different social networks, and we will be creating clips, we will be creating longer videos, and so on. So we try to show the lifestyle, right? And this is something that we have detected, that people want to know more about the players and the content creators, not only in their playing time, but also about their lives, about how they like, what they like in their spare time, and so on. So I think this is a bit what we're trying to do, but we're also trying to build something similar to, and maybe I'm spoiling something that my investors won't like, but we're trying to build local targeted communities, like fan clubs, in different cities around Spain, and also obviously Europe on a second phase, but mostly Spain. We're trying to build like engaged communities in certain points through I would say, like a fidelity program, which is now currently free of charge, but at some point we want to try to add a bit more different tiers, and maybe like you get the season shirt every year, and you get a membership card, and so on. So we also bring you exclusive content, one-on-one meetings with our players, and so on. So sorry if it was
it's
too
a nice
long.
innovation, and I don't know your investors. They would be happy.
I hope they are. I hope they are.
Say there.
Paula, the LVP is also always betting with, you know, face-to-face activities at the end of the seasons, and I think this is one of the most...
It's the key part. Actually, I always mention one thing, that when we, last year when we went out from the pandemic, our first live event was for the final of Valorant, and I remember that we were with our badge, and I usually work for the international, so I was like going there to support our local team, but like an spectator. And I remember I was with my badge, and small guys came and was like, "Thank you for having back the live events." I was like, because I have like a badge, they were taking me. And right now the live events, it's everything. It's where they can connect, where they can feel something else, and also something that we were also mentioning is the live event of a eSport event. It's incredible. I know that we are adjusted to go to a football match, and every time that I enter to a football match, I'm really happy, really happy. But when you enter to an arena and you feel the vibration that it's there, it's amazing. So if you have the possibility to go, because I think we have to learn a lot of what the fans experience there. They're like, maybe you have 5 hours watching a match, 5-match event of League of Legends, a really long day, and it's incredible. So the live event right now, it's a key part of revenue streams, of course, but of course of enlarging that audiences that we were mentioning, because we need to enlarge the fan base. And going to a live event, it's one of the key parts to keep growing.
Yeah, you opened it the next topic. We are going to
Sorry,
talk about...
sorry.
Yeah, no, but it was good. We are going to talk about money. Yeah, this 2022, there is an expectation of revenue with double digits again, $1.3 billion, 60% coming from sponsorship, 15 media rights, 9 publishers, 7 merch and tickets, 4 digital. I have to mention this. Do you expect these numbers are going to be fulfilled? Do you see changes? Where? You know.
Start?
Yeah.
Okay. Regarding the revenue streams of this industry, I think sponsorship will be the key part, and actually the forecast is that in the following 5 years it will keep that ratio. Right now sponsorship is one of the key points, but also it gave us a lot of possibilities of building up. For example, when I remember, and as we were talking before, Max mentioned something that it was a key part of 1 year in the eSport, it's like 10 years of any other industry, because it's changing. And I remember at the beginning of when I started with the LVP, our leagues had some sponsors. Right now, maybe we have the same sponsor, but right now we have perhaps 10 sponsors from last year that will keep being sponsors for the next year. They are building strategies around eSports and signing for 2 years. That was like something like it was impossible. Really, it was something that I remember. It was like, I have this part of the budget. I will experience and check what is going on. And right now, sponsorship, it's a big ratio, but also it gave us a lot of stability right now. It gave the teams, the teams organizer, the events, and everything. The industry, it's in a more stabilized moment, but also the sponsors gave us that possibility. It's a huge part, and we have to hear the sponsors. But right now, our league, for example, is having more stable context because we're having sponsors that are keeping in our leagues for more than 1 year. You perhaps are signing for 10 years, but in the esports industry, that was not a possibility because actually, for example, in our leagues, we were signing deals with publishers who own these titles for 1 year. So I was not able to secure a sponsor if I was having the rights for 1 year. Right now, we are having for 3 years. So that possibility it's giving us to, of course, secure that sponsorship ratio, but also, you mentioned a lot of things, digital, publishers, ticketing, a lot of other type of revenue streams that are having because we secure that part. So I think what we see from LVP, it's actually that the ratio of sponsors will keep like this, and we're happy to be in that way, but also that it's stability of 3 years or 2 years or having sponsors thinking about a strategy around esports will give us the possibility of increasing those revenues regarding tickets, regarding digital, regarding other channels in order to, of course, to win money.
Yeah, so what is a fact is that sponsorships continue raising. Perhaps right now the question for Max would be like they are changing the why to invest to the how. Yeah, here I would like to listen to your story, your experience.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I've been an evangelizer for the esports ecosystem for a few years now, and the conversation has completely shifted, right? We were coming from why should I invest in this to how can I invest in this, right? How can I get in? How do I bring value to the table? And yeah, what Paula was saying, it's so important for us, right? Having sponsors allows you to start developing the rest of revenue streams. But I think we cannot overlook as well the potential of some of those revenue streams. I just want to give you an example. Dota 2, the international tournament. This is the largest prize pool ever given in an esports tournament. I believe it was 42 or 47 million on total prize pool for last year, which is a bit more than what Wimbledon is giving away. But the important fact here is that 50% of that amount comes directly from in-game purchases by players, right? So when you look at these numbers, or Valorant, which is a 2-year game, right, which is still creating the fan base and it's looking very promising, but Valorant just a couple of months ago sold 16 million in skins that went to the teams part of the franchise leagues, right? So there is obviously a large interest by players to purchase items inside the games, customized with the team colors, logos, lookalikes, and so, right? And I think this opens a very, very interesting possibility in terms of, I don't know, if NFT creations or this type of in-game products that can sell really well. Obviously, merchandising is growing in importance, and we see more and more teams creating not only like official jerseys, but also like streetwear lines and specific products. We're seeing, yeah, obviously ticketing for live events is quite important, and it's an interesting way of approach when you can do like, I don't know, like a bonus fan club that you have been doing for a couple of years already, where you, by purchasing the ticket, you buy it in a pack where you already show your support for a certain team, and the team gets part of the revenue. So overall, as league, as teams, we are trying to build a stable ecosystem, a bit more concentrated, right? In the sense that maybe there is not so many organizations, but the ones there are becoming more and more professionalized. We are bringing top talent from different industries. I remember Pablo Canosa, former sponsorship manager for Atletico Madrid, has been involved with the esports ecosystem already for 5 years. We're seeing more and more people from different industries coming on board. And I think that's a positive sign, but there is a lot of talent still required in this sector. And yeah, I just wanted to say that as a team, for instance, we also have a specific approach based on education, right? Where we try to implement different ways of learning for kids through Minecraft, Roblox, and obviously other regular games like League of Legends, Fortnite, and so and so. But I think the potential that these games as tools for learning have is immense. And specifically Minecraft, I think educational Minecraft is crazy, is creating something very unique and amazing. And obviously we cannot forget the potential of these games, because everybody's trying to build a metaverse right now, but there are actually metaverses existing which are called Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft, where the people actually wants to be there, because the problem with the metaverse is that most of the people don't want to be part of that metaverse, or they not so many people want to go to the central land, right? But a lot of people is playing Fortnite every day, so the audience is already inside. So if you can create something there, that's already a few steps ahead from trying to build your own thing in the central land or similar ones. I'm not saying they are not good. I'm just saying that the audience, or specifically the younger audiences, are in somewhere else, and moving them will be much more challenging than actually creating something where they already are, right? So.
I don't know if last week or whenever, it's Roblox and FIFA actually launched also like a fun zone for development, especially that it was for the FIFA World Cup. So it's part going back and back and back, but it's like video games gives the possibility to approach that audiences, to maybe and of course to relate with that audiences, that in other way there's no way to relate to them, because they are not interested in another way of getting that content. So bueno, it was actually what Max was mentioning, but you have Roblox, you have Minecraft, you have a lot of titles that are going through there.
In some ways we can talk about some sort of stability in the ecosystem. In other words, do you think this is the end, or part of the end of the investment at a loss? No?
I don't know.
Unfortunately, we are still in the Wild West.
Actually, I'm part of a company that bought a company like LVP like 4 years ago, and we developed a strategy going to Latin America, and it's part of the investment, or invest actually in developing appealing products for the fan base. You're talking about a company that it's more than 100 employees, and when we have events, it's even more. I don't know if it is actually the moment. What we need, it's the only way is to get more sponsors, to enlarge the fan base, and to have more money to keep getting bigger this industry, because we need to invest. It's not the moment of getting the money or getting the right now revenues from this. It's that if we want to get actually that fan base, enlarge it, and have a mainstream, and not go into the gamers, or we have to keep investing, but it will be a tough moment right now to keep doing, because and actually one thing is, when you talk about billions, because it's like the typical question that we have, no, this is a billion industry. Yeah, it's a billion industry, but you have to look to get a lot.
Compare.
Yeah,
it's a moment to compare.
It's not actually the message that we want to give, because it's a billion, but the stability, it's actually this moment. It's amazing, because you are seeing this type of organizations with 8 years, or I don't know, organizers, producers, and everything, that it's investing in the industry and going through, because if not, it's not way. Right now, talking about media rights, it's something that we want to talk about it, but it's not right now on the table.
You have opened the topic.
Yeah, so I think no. I think right now what we have to do, or at least the goal that we have from LVP, It's to give quality products, to customize every product for the audiences. The quality of the content is really a key point, to create great experiences and events for the audiences, and to enlarge that fan base. That it's the only way we can keep growing and finally get more from more at least a little bit more of revenue from this industry. But right now we have to invest and to keep growing on the content that we are generating, and also having partners. So our keep.
This is the next question.
Well, sorry, it's like I don't know the questions. We were talking.
No, I mean, Max, it would be great to listen from you how this stability have changed, and perhaps if there is a change also in the alliances from clubs, leagues, and other perhaps stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree with Paula. I think we are not there yet. I think maybe we will see a bit of a slowdown. It won't be such a hyper growth as it has been in the past years, but certainly there is still a lot of room to grow, and we are not at the moment where we have to fight for every piece of the pie. I think what we're doing is enlarging the pie. Also, I think what we're seeing in terms of stability is more professionals coming into the industry, which helps a lot, but also publishers understanding better how to launch an esports product, how to support themselves with production companies or with tournament organizers such as LVP. Teams understanding better how the relationship with the tournament organizer and the publisher should look like, and publishers and tournament organizers understanding better what the relationship with the teams should be like, because in the end it's a circular ecosystem where we all benefit each other. If there is stability, there is possibilities to grow, right? Otherwise it's a bit more complicated. And if we want brands to keep coming at us, we need to prove that we are capable of showing good signs and stability signs. And I think this has improved a lot in the past few years. But we are obviously still have a long way to go, and we have very clear examples just not so long ago with a certain CEO. For those of you who know, you will know, and the others you don't need to know. But anyhow, I mean, I think in general terms, what we will see in the next 5 to 10 years, and this is playing very long game in esports, right? We tend to say that long game in esports is 2 years, but I'll try to approach what the next 5 or next 10 years should look like. And I will say something that might be controversial, but the populational pyramid goes in our favor, right? And I hope nobody gets offended by that, but I think we still have to cater to those audiences, that the first gamers that are now like getting into parenthood, but they will still probably be watching esports related content when they are 40, 50, 60, or even I would say like, okay, let's go to 60. Let's go to 60 years old, right? So I think there's still like a 30-year period where we will capture new audiences, but try to retain these audiences that we already have. So I wouldn't suggest that this is by any means over or just going to be stale. But I think the growth will be a bit more concentrated in fewer parts of it, and there is a more clear separation between the professional and the amateur or semi-professional, right? Like I think there is the differences are becoming bigger and bigger, and for those of you who follow a bit esports, but like if you don't have $1 million, just don't even consider starting your own team. And maybe 5 years ago you could do it with 4 friends and playing from home, right? So if you really want to reach that professional level, start thinking a bit bigger, and don't even consider going pro if you don't have the means to do it, because you will basically ruin yourself, right?
Reaching the end of the match and continue with figuring out what's going to happen in the future. I would like just some few quick answers. These guys want to go lunch. First one, fast answers. Do you think mobile phones are the future in the esports
It's not a future. It's like something everybody has a mobile phone, the ratio that it's getting, it's the biggest, it's the fastest growing. When you see figures, I don't know, for example, giving an example in Latin America, we have one of the most important leagues that it's Free Fire, that it's like a mobile phone, like Fortnite. And when you see the amount of players, I don't know, in different markets like Mexico, that it's more than 50% of the players worldwide, it's like, woof. So mobile give us the possibility that everybody can access to a mobile phone. So it, depending on the title, yeah, by sure. But it's not the only one. It's like you have to understand, again, the audience is the target and everything, but yeah, mobile will keep growing.
Max, anything to add? Or?
No, yeah, I agree, and specifically countries like India or certain regions, Southeast Asia, I mean, the penetration of mobile gaming is absolutely incredible, and so yeah, it's much more accessible, cost of entry is lower, and the capabilities of the terminals are getting better and better every time, so I think there is definitely a lot of room for growth. Even in esports competitions, I think there's still a lot of room to growth in that regard. But I think like mobile gaming is clearly here to stay, and I would like to see where it looks like in 10 or 15 years when we start to see a bit more AR integrations and then something a bit more unique experiences. That will be cool. I've been waiting for that for 10 years, and I will keep waiting for now. But I think it's coming at some point. The Hado, no? The one?
Yeah, or even when we... No, sorry, we were discussing because actually we did an activation, but for the last mobile, the way the mobile wanted to promote the 5G here in Barcelona was with a competition of 10 influencers playing Wild Rift, and what we did is to put like 4 in one stand, 1 in Girona, 1 in a typical place of Barcelona, another in a stand of Movistar, and that was the way of promoting the 5G. So mobile phones give us like what we were talking about, mainstream, about amplification, about possibility of everybody accessing to that.
Hold the microphone. Blockchain or NFTs, one of two.
No, I think that it's more, I will give it to Max actually. Nah, but
choose one.
No. It's like, it's the NFTs, it's from the side of a league, it's a little bit more complicated because it depends on publishers and we have some restrictions, so it's a little bit complicated. Talking about NFTs and talking about betting and about like different topic, it will be a little bit more different.
This is the last one. Betting is the last
betting
one.
Also, it's part of the discussion and actually of this panel of how we find new ways, because by the ways we are having right now, we need to enlarge because we are getting more organizations, getting more professional. That of course increases the cost of everything. So we need new streams. I think are the ways, of course. And well, actually, when Max was talking about Dota, about Valorant, and about a lot of things of publishers on inside the games and increasing that, it's part of it. It's going there. I cannot do it because it's part of, but I think it's of course it's a future.
Yeah, I would say blockchain technology and Web3 are definitely things that will have a huge impact in our industry. I don't exactly know how to envision how it will look like in a few years, but there are certain things that could be very very interesting, and I think NFTs or the concept of NFTs sometimes is overlooked, but I think what you've been doing with Panini, with the fantasy of La Liga, where similar to what the actual fantasy from traditional football looks like. I don't know if it can be considered an NFT, but it's something very similar. So I think there are different ways of approaching it, but obviously we have to take into consideration these technologies. Most of our audience is they are huge early adopters of any new technology, and they are usually one of the first types of people who get into newer technologies, and even we see some some technologies being created. I'm talking again about Discord, for instance. Some technologies created by gamers just because they are lazy, I want to say, and sorry for saying that, but sometimes it's like, okay, if I can, how can I make this easier or effortless, right? And then a technology comes up from there, and those technologies then can be replicated or transformed into something different that could be useful for other industries as well. So yeah, I think there is obviously a future there. We will see how it looks like, and I think it still faces a bit of a backlash in terms of conversation and how people approach to it and how people look at it, right?
Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you very much, Max. Of course, thank you very much, all of you.